Hello everyone and welcome to another week of my fat loss vlog. This week my legs were down 1 centimeter, which is now a total reduction of 10 centimeters. That's a reduction of about 15% and certainly makes walking and all kinds of activity feel a lot lighter. My average daily calories were right about 3000 and my average weight was down by only 0.1 kilos. However, I am 100% sure that my daily deficit has been at least 500 calories for the past 3 weeks, so eventually there will be a huge drop. As for my physique, there are some small changes happening week to week, but they will definitely be more noticeable when this big drop happens. And finally, my daily step average was just above 15,000 per day. This week we're gonna challenge a very controversial topic. One might even say this will shake the very nature of reality. I don't know if this is just me coping with the fact that as my weight is decreasing, my absolute strength is going down. But in the past couple of months, I've been thinking about what is the best way to measure strength for an individual who is not a competitor in powerlifting or weightlifting. Let's look at the low bar squat, for example. There is no physiological reason why going just below parallel would be the best way to go, because your quads and your glutes will still keep stretching if you go deeper than that. But in a competition setting, it makes logical sense to require the lifter to go just below parallel, because visually it's the clearest to judge. When the crease of the hip has gone below the knee, you've gone deep enough. But still, there are many wrong calls made with regards to squat depth. The point is, if you're not a competitor, why would you squat just below parallel? What I think makes the most sense instead is to just put the bar on your back, find a comfortable stance and go as deep as you physically can. It's consistent, you don't have to think about anything, and it's auto-regulated based on your individual body structure. Over time, I've found more and more satisfaction focusing on the high bar squat done ass to grass. And so far my best performance on these is a set of 5 with 140 kilos, done when my body weight was almost 100 kilos. Or more recently, I did 10 reps with 120 kilos. Now the same thing with the deadlift. Picking the bar off the floor is a completely arbitrary standard, and some people have to bend over much further down than others to perform the lift. For example, let's take 2 people with the exact same body structures, except the other person has arms that are 3 inches longer, which is not that uncommon. They have to bend over 3 inches less than the other person. Imagine pulling the bar off of 3-inch blocks. You can probably add 20 kilos, maybe even 30 or 40 kilos to your deadlift that way. So it's not exactly a balanced standard. So why would you compare your deadlift to another person's unless you're a competitor? I think a much better way to measure your posterior chain strength is to do Romanian deadlifts and go all the way down until your hamstrings are maximally stretched. It's not quite as consistent to hit the same depth every time as it is on the ass to grass squat, for example, but eventually you'll get a feel for it and it's way more individualized than picking the bar off the floor. My best performance on these was a set of 8 with 160 kilos when I weighed almost 100 kilos myself, or more recently, a set of 10 with 140 kilos. Finally, everyone's favorite lift and the universal measure of strength in gyms across the world, even though it doesn't transfer over to almost anything, the bench press, where your range of motion is artificially limited by when the bar touches your chest. And worse yet, if you want to lift as much weight as possible, you will arch your back as much as possible, further limiting the range of motion. Your torso thickness, your ability to arch your back, and your arm length will all play a role in how easy the bench press will be for you. And I think a much better way is to do something like push-ups or dumbbell bench press. The push-ups are definitely the king when it comes to range of motion if you do them like I am doing them here. But they can be a pain in the ass to set up in certain gyms because it requires you to use either 3 boxes or 3 benches, and putting plates on your back can also be a huge pain in the ass. Due to practical considerations, the dumbbell bench press might be the winner here because it's much easier to set up than the push-ups, and it allows you to go at least deeper than the barbell bench press. If you have trouble setting this up, use lighter weights and do more reps, or just get stronger. My best performance on the dumbbell bench press so far was a set of 10 done with the 40 kilo dumbbells just last week. A performance I've never done before and one that I was very happy about. I'm sure it'll only go up from here as I get better with my technique and balance. Lastly, we have the upper back, and while I am a huge fan of the barbell row, I'm also aware that the range of motion is somewhat limited and they are very easy to cheat with your hips, sometimes without you even noticing it yourself. I think the best options here are the one-arm dumbbell row on the horizontal plane and a pull-up variation done all the way up on the vertical plane. The most I myself have done in the former is 10 reps with 40 kilos actually during this cut, and 14 reps weighing in at 90 kilos on the ladder, also during this cut. Now, I am exactly 100% sure that I will focus on the low bar squat, the deadlift and the bench press in the future because of the huge role they have in the strength world, but for now, I am giving my all to the ass to grass high bar squat, the Romanian deadlift and the dumbbell bench press. Maybe also the one-arm dumbbell row and pull-ups. Together, they also work all of the muscle groups in your entire body as well because of the huge range of motion they have and because they are very different from each other. The low bar squat and the deadlift, for example, have a huge amount of overlap, while the ass to grass high bar squat and Romanian deadlift work very different muscles in your body, but together they take care of the entire lower body. The reason I'm not including the overhead press here is that I don't think it builds as much muscle as some people say it does. It only really works your anterior delts and your triceps. And if you want to get better at the overhead press, you have to perform it a lot. But at what cost? Anyway, that's all I had to talk about this week, and I'm getting really hungry and I have to eat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.